Imadium Wapanya Hakodam, rising for seas. Hallelujah.
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 Repeat after me in the last from Kodash. Adawan Palau. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Haya.
Haya.
Shemka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakwatka.
Malakwatha.
Taba'at.
Taba'a. Ratazaika.
Haya.
Haya.
Aisha.
Haisha.
Baharatiza.
Baharatiza. Ka.
Haya.
Haya.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Tananawa.
Wathananawa.
Lakum.
Lakom.
Kayawam.
Kalyawom.
Wasalaknawa.
Wasalaknawa.
Kabawatinawa.
Kabawafnawa.
Wasalaknawa.
Kasalaknawa.
Kabawatinawa.
Kabawatinawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Tabayanawa.
Tabayanawa.
Wanasaya one.
Banasai 1.
Bo.
Bo.
Awashaynawa.
Awashaynawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwa.
Hamalakwa.
Wala'ala.
Waha'ala.
Wathaparat.
Wahathai pa'arat.
La Walamyam.
Lai Walamyam.
Bahasham.
Bahasham.
Mashiach.
Hamashiach.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Water.
Tawara.
Yad.
Yad. Aman.
Let's pray in English.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 9. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Bahasham, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Tawara, Damyad, Aman.
Yahweh, we come before you, live Mashiach Yahushai. To ask that you watch over us and guide us. Feed us with your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. As we go over that Torah portion this evening on the day that God has sanctified to be a day of reflection, a day of examination of that Torah. We ask that you feed us with the knowledge of your Torah, Yahweh. We allow that you allow us to apply it in our daily lives, Yahweh, and we use it as a daily guidance to teach our people, Yahweh, till we be able to govern ourselves upon the face of the earth. We ask that you encamp your angels around those in the room this afternoon. Those that will be watching via live stream, Yahweh. Guide and protect us and continue raining your judgment upon the nations before us. Shema Mashik Yahweh Shai, the water them yard, Aman.
Aman.
Shai be seated. Yo, call him. Let me know when it's done. Go ahead.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Peace, grace, mercy be unto the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. You already know on this day we are fed with the heritage of Jacob, our father. Because we already know that this world has their own agenda, right? We know that these other nations have their own agenda. But what's the agenda for the Israelites? What's the game plan that we got going on? What's the reason we gather together? What's the reason we go over the scriptures? What's the reason that we're trying to build our households in this truth? It all boils down to one thing. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 30. All right, because sometimes we got to remind ourselves, because we see that America is falling, right? But being in America, right, we're gonna feel the effects too, right? No matter where we are in the four corners of the earth, the world is starting to collapse on itself.
Right.
Because as we rise, somebody has to go down. Two people can't sit at the top. We don't never see that in history. All right. We always see that it's always going to be a power shift. Now that we're about to come into power, somebody has to get stepped down. So we see all of these economies starting to crash. We see nations starting to war against nation. But this is just only the beginning.
Right.
Because we don't know how many of the tribe of Benjamin are sealed yet. We don't know how many of the tribe of Judah are sealed yet. All we know is that the work obviously hasn't been finished because we're still in captivity. But what is the game plan? How is all of this going to play out from beginning to end? Let's go Deuteronomy 30, verse 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 1.
Read.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee,
right,
the blessing and the curse.
The what?
The blessing and the curse.
So as Moses has gave us the commandments, right? The Most High giving us commandments through Moses. We see that if we obey them, it's a blessing. If we don't obey them, it's a curse. Read.
Which I have set before thee,
Mm-hmm.
and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations,
Mm-hmm.
whether Yahweh thy power has driven thee.
So at this time, we still in the wilderness, right? We haven't even reached the land yet. But Moses is already putting it out that, listen, y'all gonna go into the land, y'all gonna go off, y'all gonna get driven to other lands. And when y'all in those other lands, y'all are gonna see what it is to live like true servants to other nations. Because living as a servant to the Most High is the best thing, right? If we start to change our mindset to say, let me live the life of a servant to the Most High. Because when we're in the kingdom of heaven, right, we go around and we call each other king and all this stuff. That's good. But in the kingdom of heaven, there's only gonna be one king. That's gonna be Yahweh.
Right.
Everybody else is gonna be a servant. And then all the other nations are going to be servants to us. That's how the order is going to be. So when you start thinking like a servant, you start moving like a servant. That's how pride gets removed from your heart. Read.
Verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
And shall return unto the voice to Yahweh thy power, and thou shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day.
So say it again.
And obey his voice.
Obey his voice. Read.
According to all that I command thee this day.
So when we out in the highways and byways and we teaching, and people say, "Well, God spoke to me." Well, was it the commandments that was being spoken to you? Because if we're going to return unto the Most High, if we're trying to get our people to return back unto the Most High, we have to talk about the commandments. That's where his voice is heard, through his laws, statutes, and commandments. Anything else is just gibberish. So we need to understand that's how we return back unto the Most High. When we read Isaiah 49 and 5, and it says we have to bring Jacob back unto him again, the only way that they're going to return to the Most High is if we teach them the commandments. Read.
Thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul.
Read.
That then Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity.
So if anybody else can show me by what other means our captivity
Because that Moab and Seir do say, behold,
right?
the house of Judah is like unto all the heathen.
Drop to verse down to verse 11. So it goes into the prophecy, right? Drop down to verse 11.
And I will execute judgments upon Moab, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
So Moab, so-called Chinese man, is going to understand Buddha has no power here. It's Yahweh who's in control. Go to verse 12.
Verse 12. Thus saith Yahweh power, because that Edom had dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and had greatly offended, and have revenged himself upon them.
Drop down to verse 14.
Verse 14. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel.
Read.
And they shall do in Edom according to my anger, and according to my fury. And they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh.
So Esau, the so-called white man, is going to understand Caesar Borgia has no power here, because when he sees that the Israelites, the people who he had once as slaves, overtaking them, and he knows that that name that they've been calling out on the street corners, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, that's the Lord. Drop to verse 15.
Go ahead. Verse 15. Thus saith Yahweh power, because the Philistines have dealt by revenge, and have taken vengeance with a despiteful heart to destroy it for the old hatred.
Verse 17.
Verse 17. I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they should know that I am Yahweh when I lay my vengeance upon them.
So the other nations are going to understand that the Most High is the one true God through his vengeance. We're going to understand that Most High is the one true God through our salvation. At the end of the day, the Most High is in control of everything. So just like Jethro was saying, listen, I realize that he is, right, the one true God, because he's seen what? Our salvation and the vengeance upon the Egyptians. So that's how we got to look at it. So they come up with a philosophy now, right? Well, you have to respect everybody's religion, right? If we know that the Yahweh is the one true God, and I say I respect your religion, I respect you worshiping Buddha, then I condone idolatry.
Right.
I then say, you know what? I'm cool with idolatry, right? So there's a term, right? And it's called monolatry, right? And it's the worship of one God without the denial of the existence of other gods. So some people might say, well, I know that it's one true God, but we can't deny that, these people have a connection to Buddha or to Krishna or to all these other things. Of course we can deny that, right? Because give me Psalms 115, all right? Give me Psalms 115. I can't respect somebody else's religion and I know it's idolatry, right? Because then basically I'm saying, well, I do think that Krishna exists, right? I do think that Buddha exists, right? I do think that these people are in heaven, right, with the Most High, and they have some type of power or say so, right? Right?
Allah with the 7
Right.
virgins.
Exactly, right? Allah's up over there, right? All these other deities. I would have to condone that they're up in the heavens with the Most High, and they're all just having a conference, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Give me Psalms 115, start at verse 1. Okay, come on.
The book of Psalms, chapter 115 and verse 1.
Read.
Not unto us, O Yahweh, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory. For thy mercy and for thy truth's sake.
Read.
Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God?
Say it again.
Should the heathen say, where is now their God?
They're probably asking that question, right? We had these people down for over 500 years. Where's their God? Right? They sing all these Negro spirituals, right? All these songs about Zion and deliverance. Well, where's their God, right? Because we can still deal with them however we want to deal with them, and nothing seems to be happening to us.
Really? But our power is in the heavens.
He's in the where?
He's in the heavens.
So now listen. If our power is up in the heavens, right, then these other religions, their gods must be in the heavens too. If they believe, right, that they have some type of power, they must be in the heavens also, right? Read.
But our power is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased.
He did what?
He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased.
So when the Most High is doing whatever so he's pleased, why isn't Buddha trying to stop him, right? Why isn't Krishna saying, no, you can't do that? Why isn't Caesar Borgia saying, no, you can't do that? The Most High do whatever he pleases, right? Read.
Their idols are silver and gold, The work of men's hands.
The work of what?
Men's hands.
The work of men's hands. So now let's think about this, right? What would we call today, right? A character that a man creates, gives them a backstory and some type of supernatural power. What would we call it?
Comic book hero.
A comic book hero, right? Spider-Man, Superman, right?
Right.
Zeus, all of these things, right? You see Thor all through the Marvel, right? Thing now, because that's basically what it was. It was coming up with characters, giving them some type of power and building some type of story around them, right? Read.
Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands.
Read.
They have mouths, but they speak not.
They said they have mouths, but they speak not. So whatever type of moral code somebody would have from serving Krishna, how did they receive it if Krishna can't speak? How would they receive it if Krishna can't speak? So we have to realize whatever moral code or any type of way they came up with living had to be come up by a man. Read.
Eyes have they, but they see not.
Say it again.
Eyes have they, but they see not.
Read.
They have ears, but they hear not.
All right.
Noses have they, but they smell not.
Read.
They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not.
All right.
Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them.
Right. They that make them are like unto them. Read.
So is everyone that trusted in them.
So if I go and I trust, right, in Hinduism, I'm trusting in whatever man came up with Hinduism, right? They might have created this character, this deity Krishna, but I know at the end of the day, whatever Hinduism about is that man, however many so years ago, created Hinduism. That's why we have to stick with the Most High. That's why we can't get caught up in trying to make our own rules, right? Trying to come up with our own type of program. We stick with the commandments of the Lord so that our people continue to worship the one true God and not worship some type of idol. Let's go back to, oh, you had a precept? What is it?
The book of 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians what?
Chapter 10 and verse 3.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare...
It's like, what on verse 5?
Verse 5? 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 5. Casting down imaginations...
What does the scripture say?
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God.
Right. So like the captain is saying, like when we don't cast it down, that means we're in agreement with it. I remember we was doing camp and doing New Year's. Remember that one brother that was coming up, the old brother, saying he'd been in the troop for 5 years. But he went out to celebrate New Year's with his girl. And I told him, like, you basically condoned the worship of another god, Janus.
Right.
Because you didn't want to rebuke, you didn't stand against it, you for it. And most of teaches that in our laws. When you see somebody's doing something wrong and you don't say nothing, you're just as guilty as them.
Right.
That's why we have to cast down these gods. It doesn't matter about nobody's feelings.
That's right.
Because the Most High don't move about nobody's feelings.
Right.
If somebody's coming to you talking about, yeah, you know, I believe there's a God Yahweh, but you have to believe that there's Krishna and Allah, you know, and Caesar Borgia is real.
Right.
That means you're supporting idolatry.
Right.
Because there's no God but the Most High. Go ahead.
Right. And we realize, right, if the gods, if their idols can't speak, they can't hear, they can't walk, that means that they can't help them, they can't defend them, they can't protect them, they can't bless them, right? So that's what we need to understand. We're the only nation that can call out to our power and receive protection, receive help, receive blessings, receive assistance. The other nations can't do that. The other nations cannot do that. That's what we have to realize the position that we are in as the nation of Israel. Because sometimes it can get lost in just, well, you know, it just is what it is, right? It just is what it is. It's no big deal. It is a very big deal. Because we're the only nation that can call out to our power for assistance and receive it. Sure. And we read the accounts of these things happening over and over. For any time we were in captivity, the Most High came and took us out, right? Now, as for another nation being put in captivity for another nation, I don't know what they're going to do, right? They call out to, right? Who can they call out to? Let's go back to the portion. verse 12.
Verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
took a burnt offering and sacrifices for Yahweh.
Right.
Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people.
Right.
And the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening.
Read.
And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people?
What did he say?
What is this thing that thou doest to the people?
What is Moses' father-in-law in his nation? What is he? He's a priest. So Jethro probably has some experience dealing with matters. Jethro probably understands how the structure should be in dealing with matters with the people. So Jethro is looking like, you doing all this by yourself, right? That's no good, man. Read.
Midian's already an established nation.
Exactly. Midian's an established nation. He's a priest, so he go ahead.
And speaking of that, I'm talking about he took a burnt offering. Like, how did he get the knowledge about how we sacrifice to our Lord, our God?
All nations who sacrifices to their gods. He said that.
But he took.
And this is before the tabernacles as well.
I'm sure he did it according to how we do it.
The scriptures don't really give us into detail.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that I can say is that from it the nation Midian, Abraham had a son, I believe, that was named Midian or something like that, right? So yeah, so maybe he got that knowledge from there. You know what I'm saying? But like Cap say, it's really no other details that's given as how he knew how to do that. But I would have to assume that he got that knowledge from, his Abraham through Midian and then through them. So go ahead, Cap. Verse 14.
Verse 14.
Uh-huh.
And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people?
Uh-huh.
Why sittest thou thyself alone?
Right.
And all the people stand by thee from morning unto evening.
Read.
And Moses said unto his father-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
Because the people come unto me to inquire of Yahweh.
Say it again.
Because the people come unto me to inquire of Yahweh.
So when the people are bringing the matters to Moses, right? They're not saying, Moses, what do you think? Right? They're saying, Moses, what saith the Lord pertaining to this matter? And that's the same way we give counsel. When people come to us, we give them counsel via the scriptures. Do we disregard experience? No. But you have to find a way to kind of allow the scriptures to speak to your experience in giving that advice. So that it's not, well, I'm just going to do it this way because that's what you did. No. Because maybe what I did was against what the scripture said. And then I'm telling you a story about how I received the judgment, right? Or maybe naturally I did do it the right way and it worked out. But then when I look back in the scriptures, I found out that was the way I was supposed to do it in the first place. So when people are coming to Moses, they're coming to inquire of the Most High. Read.
When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another.
Uh-huh.
And I do make them know the statutes of Yahweh and his laws.
And his what?
And his laws.
Let me get started right in chapter 11 and verse 7. So when Moses gives them this answer, right, he gives them how to settle the matter, right, how to settle the dispute, and let them know the statutes of God. So it's not just to say, okay, well, you continue bringing it back the same problem to Moses each and every day. Well, what did I tell you yesterday, right? Thus saith the Lord, do this, this, and this, right? It didn't change. Are you looking for a different answer today? And that's what we got to kind of check ourselves. Are we continuing to do the same sin in hopes that if we ask enough leaders in the Israelite community, we'll get the answer that we want, right? Or are we just going to be able to look at the scriptures and see the commandment for what it is, right? Thou shalt not, or thou shalt. Read.
The book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 7.
Read.
Blame not before thou hast examined the truth.
He said what?
Blame not and before thou hast examined the truth.
So anytime a matter is brought to us, we got to be patient. We got to make sure we don't blame anybody, even if it may be somebody that you already have a preconceived notion about, right? And it may be somebody who you feel like don't bother nobody at all. Both of them are bringing a matter to you. As they walking up to you, you already like, yeah, he did it. You can't say that, right? You got to hear the whole matter because the quiet one might have done something this time, right? Read.
Understand first and then review.
It says the what?
Understand first and review.
Understand first and then review, right? So understand the whole matter, go through the law, see what it is that has to be done about this situation, and then you rebuke the person who has done wrong. Read.
Answer not before thou hast heard the cause,
Uh-huh.
neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk.
Right, and don't try to interrupt them, right? Of course, you can ask for clarity, but don't try to interrupt them and not allow them to speak the whole truth or the whole way they see it, right? But be able to sit down, interpret what's going on, and be able to give an answer according to the laws of God. Read.
Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not.
Say it again.
Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not.
So hopefully nobody's coming to Moses and saying, well, should I wear a blue shirt or a red shirt today, right? Or do you think we should make turkey or chicken tonight? Or is date night tonight? And I want to know if we should do this or this, right? Moses should be like, listen, y'all go handle that yourself. This has nothing to do with the commandments of God, right? But when it comes to things that have to do with the commandments of God, we ought to answer via the commandments of God, right? Mm-hmm. But we're not to strive in matters that don't concern us, right? Let's go back to the portion. Unless you have something, yeah. No, go. Verse 17.
And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good.
Right?
Thou wilt surely wear away both thou and this people. That is with thee, for the thing is too heavy for thee.
Right?
Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone.
And like we said, Jethro is speaking more likely from a standpoint of experience. He's saying, listen, this is not good. He probably seen other priests in his nation try to do it and realize, nope, that's not going to work, right? It started to affect the people because probably the priest got fed up with dealing with all of these matters every day. He just started saying, hey, I'll just do whatever, man. It don't even matter, right? Now the people just going off their own heart. So we understand that delegation, right, is what needs to be done when dealing with the nation, right? Somebody has this office, somebody has that office, because if you try to take it all upon yourself, it seems like a noble cause, but it's only going to be a detriment to you and the people. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're trying to help the people. Read.
Verse 19. Hearken now unto my voice.
Right.
I will give thee counsel, and Yahweh shall be with thee.
Right.
Be thou for the people Godward. Thou mayest bring the cause unto Yahweh. And thou shalt teach them ordinances,
right,
and laws, and shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work,
and the what,
and the work,
and the what,
and the work.
Read.
They must do,
and the work that they must do. So after you receive counsel, right, and we give the scriptures, and we give the commandments, we give the laws, we give the statutes, and you leave the counsel, if you don't apply it, then it was all for nothing, because now you have to put in the work. You have some, Cap?
Oh, First Maccabees 2:21.
First Maccabees 2:21. So that's it. Come, you get that.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 21. Yahweh forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinance.
Right, so it's forbidden that we forsake the law and the ordinances. Because if we throw that away, now everybody just has their own opinion on what they should do. And we know in the time of Judges, right, everybody was doing what they felt right, was in their heart, right? Our nation was in turmoil, right? There was a lot of things just going down because nobody wanted to listen to the commandments. Everybody thought they had the answers. And guess what? We was in captivity, right? And the Philistines were just having their way with us, right? Let's go back.
Verse 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men.
What type of men?
Able men.
Able men, read.
Such as fear Yahweh.
Such as does what?
Fear Yahweh.
Such as fear God. Give me 2 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 23. It's something very just uplifting when the person who are you dealing with or the person who is over you fears God. I don't care if I hired a personal chef. I will feel better if my personal chef feared God. Because now I don't have to worry about him trying to put no unclean ingredients in my food. Right? I would rather deal with somebody who owns a vineyard who fears God. Because I know I'm not going and getting no GMO grapes, right? Or no low quality grapes. He's not going to try to scam me, right? Anybody who you deal with, if they fear God, you will feel better, right?
You don't have to worry about him stealing from you.
You don't have to fear that stealing with you, right? Your boss, if they fear God, you know you got the Shabbat off. You don't have to worry about trying to get the Shabbat off. Everything will be better if everybody who you dealt with feared God. And that's how the nation of Israel should be. Your mother, your father, your son, the carpenter, the roofer, the electrician, everybody fears God, so there's no worries. Read.
Oh, you see 2 Samuel?
Yeah, 2 Samuel 23 and verse 1.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 23 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now these be the last words of David.
Uh-huh.
David, the son of Jesse, said, and the man who was raised up on high,
Right.
the anointed of Yahweh, the power of Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
and the sweet psalmist of Israel said,
Mm-hmm.
the spirit of Yahweh spake by me,
Mm-hmm.
and his word was in my tongue.
Read.
The power of Israel said,
The who?
the power of Israel
The
said,
power of Israel said, Yahweh said, read.
the rock of Israel spake to me.
Read.
He that ruleth over men must be just.
Must be what?
Must be just.
So the ruler must be just. If you rule over men, you must be just. How do you accomplish being just? Read.
ruling in the fear of Yahweh.
Ruling in what?
In the fear of Yahweh.
Ruling in the fear of God. So when Moses is now going to have to delegate this responsibility unto the people, they were coming to Moses to inquire of who? The Most High. So now if Moses were to put somebody in position who didn't fear God, when they came to inquire of that person, is he going to give them thus saith the Lord? No, he's going to give them what he wants. Now that what? That adds sin unto the nation. Now that adds turmoil into the nation. So anytime the people are going to inquire somebody, it has to be of somebody who's fearing God. Thus they will give them the commandments of the Lord. Keep reading verse 4.
And he should be set, he should be as the light of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When the sun riseth,
No,
even
Salakia, nobody can ever say that the sunrise is not a beautiful sight. Right? Nobody can say that the sunrise is a beautiful sight. So that's how a man fearing the Lord and ruling over men should be, man. It should be a blissful thing to be able to go to this person and get instruction. Read.
even a morning without clouds.
Even a morning without clouds, right? There's no fuzziness, right? There's no misunderstanding. You getting exactly what it is. Clear cut. Read.
Has a tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain.
And that's what it feels like to serve Hamashiach Yahweh. That's what it feels like when we read the gospel. That's what it feels like when we read Torah, right? It feels like that morning sun rising when there's no clouds and seeing that fresh grass springing up, man, right? It gives you that feeling of just happiness, man, of just blissfulness. That's how it's supposed to be. So when Moses is putting these men in position, this is the type of character that these men are supposed to have. Give me 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 11. And that's why we have the way we go about making brothers soldiers, making brothers captains, so that we can instill inside young men, right? And even sisters who do sisters classes and have these other things going on, it can be instilled in them that we're going to go by the Most High's word. Because we went by our word for a long time. And all we got was broken households, right? Fathers being in jail, right? Single parent households, fighting amongst each other. That's all we got when we try to do it our own way. So let's try it the Most High way, all right? Because I've never seen so many people gathered together, right, by any other man's words than the Most High. No matter what religion seems to have a mass following, what mega church you see on TV, no more people have gotten together by any other means than the Israelites have been gotten together today, man, through the words of the Most High. Read.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 4 and verse 11.
Read.
If any man speak,
If any man what?
if any man speak,
Read.
let him speak as the oracles of Yahweh.
It says do what?
Let him speak as the oracles of Yahweh.
Let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. Read.
If any man minister,
If any man do what?
if any man minister,
If any man minister, read.
let him do it as one of the ability which Yahweh giveth.
Which Yahweh giveth, man. Do it with that ability, right? Somebody's come to you and they talking about dealing with some woman and she already has a husband, right? Don't be like, well, is he treating her right? Well, is she happier with you? No, you give him the law of adultery. That's what you do. You don't try to console him, right? He's crying because he thinks that she's the love of his life and she already got a husband. Too bad for you, right? You got to go up the block. You got to go find somebody else. That's how we got to deal with our people. It doesn't matter how you feel, right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people in homosexual relations, they looked at each other and said, this feels right. You want to get married? What? How did it feel right in their heart? But the Most High say that a man that died with another man should be put to death.
Right.
But then two men tell each other that it feels right. So going off your own heart, man, you could be deceived. We have to stick with the law that the Most High have given us. Last precept, let me get Proverbs 15, verse 22.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
Without counsel, purposes are disappointing.
It said, without counsel, purposes are disappointing. When we want to achieve a goal, we have to go and get counsel, right? Now, of course, we see the word counsel here, but when you want to become like Captain Abaddon is becoming an electrician, right? He went to school, right? He received instruction. He applies these instructions when he goes on his job. He doesn't go to school, read all these books, and then get to the person's house and say, well, I'm going to try this. Next thing you know, the person's house catch on fire, Abaddon in jail, right? For arson. Right? Now we got to go bail Captain Abaddon out because he didn't want to listen to the instruction he received on how to do the job correctly. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors,
But in the
multitude of counselors,
read.
They are established.
They're what?
They are established.
So it needs to be multiple counselors because Moses is trying to do it by himself. That's not good. It needs to be a multitude of counselors. But the thing is that if you go to counselor number 1, you hear this thing. You go to counselor number 2, you hear something different, and then you go to counselor number 3, you hear something different. Now it's just confusion. So understanding that even though it's a multitude of counselors, all the counselors need to be counseling in the same manner. And how do we ensure that? Use the commandments of the Most High. Because when you open up the Bible 20 years from now, it's going to say the same thing. And that's how we ensure order within our nation. So understanding, giving somebody counsel, we don't disregard experience, but if your experience and the way you handle it doesn't line up with the scriptures, give them the counsel from the scriptures. Let's go back to the portion. Oh, you had it up?
In Sirach 37 and 7.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 7.
What you said there about counsel is very heavy, because you might hear one thing from one person,
Right.
and another thing with another person.
Right.
Because a lot of times, a lot of people do that,
Right.
Where you know this person not going to correct you, like you
Right.
need to be corrected.
Right.
But I'm gonna go to this person because they're gonna tell me what I wanted to hear.
Exactly.
They're gonna tell me the things that make me feel good.
Right.
And the scriptures talk about that. You can't go to somebody who's gonna tell you what you want to hear, because that thing that you want to hear is gonna be something that the Most High is gonna judge you for.
That's
So
right.
that's what you want to do. You might want to do something off.
Right.
You might want to go commit adultery. You might want to go to this brother that's already shicey, you already moved on that R. Kelly vibe already.
Right.
And he might tell you, listen, go over there and go talk to her, brother.
Right.
You know, the Most High will forgive you.
Right.
But we know that's not according to the scriptures.
Right.
Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 7.
Mhm.
Every counselor extolleth counsel,
Uh-huh.
but there is some that counseleth for
So
himself.
there's some people that when he counsels for himself. He's gonna tell you something that he's not gonna do.
Right.
You might come to with a problem about your woman. But call it, bro. You better snap on him when you get to the crib.
Right.
Telling you the man,
Right.
right? But they know damn well they're not gonna do that when they get home.
Right.
They know they're not gonna do that when they get home. You have people that will counsel you like that. Go ahead.
Beware of a counselor,
Uh-huh.
and know before
Uh-huh.
what need he has.
So some people you might have to go and think about, okay, before I go and counsel, is there anything that he might need?
Right.
Right? You might want to counsel about something about your business.
Right.
Is this the type of person that's gonna take advantage of? Is he somebody who's known
Right,
for taking
right.
advantage of people
Right.
because they have certain benefits and certain edges?
Right.
He might ulterior motives,
Right.
right? Go ahead.
For he will counsel for himself.
He's gonna do what?
He will counsel for himself.
Like, I'm gonna counsel him. He needs to find a righteous brother to make his COO, and put my name in there. I could be your COO.
Right.
Eventually, he becomes the CEO.
Right.
Go ahead.
Lest he cast the lot upon thee,
Go ahead.
and say unto thee, thy way is good,
Mm-hmm.
and afterward,
What he's gonna say?
thy way is good,
Like, go ahead and go do that.
Right.
You have people that's like that. They'll counsel you to do something,
right,
and they're gonna do what?
Use you as a test subject.
You're gonna use it as a sub-subject. I wonder if these sisters in the truth gonna take if you think it's okay for me to just snap on.
Right.
They ain't gonna do it,
right.
but they're gonna what? Go ahead.
And afterward, he stand on the other side to see what shall befall.
You're gonna be way across the street watching to see what you're gonna do. That's crazy.
Right. Hey, I guess that don't work.
I guess that don't work. Damn. And then you're gonna be calling them and you're gonna be going straight to voice message.
Right. Consult not with the one that suspected thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee.
Why do you gotta hide your counsel for somebody that envy you? Because are they gonna tell you good counsel? Everything going good for you in this walk, things ain't going good for them. They just jealous. Are they gonna tell you real good counsel? No. They're gonna tell you things that's gonna destroy what you already got. Right. That's why you can't go to everybody. Go ahead.
That's it on it.
This is a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Verse 11. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous.
Now I was gonna give us an example. Going to a woman about somebody she's jealous over. Go ahead.
Neither with a coward in matters of war.
Go ahead.
Nor with a merchant concerning exchange.
Go ahead.
Nor with a buyer of selling.
Go ahead.
Nor with an envious man of thankfulness.
Go ahead.
Nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness. Nor with the slothful for any work. Nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work.
Go ahead.
Nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel.
So one thing that you notice in that theme, there's examples of what given us. Why can't you go to a coward about war? Cowards don't go to war.
Right.
Why can't you go about somebody about let's say a big enterprise business you want to do?
Right.
And they barely can even keep a job.
Right.
There's no benefit out of it.
Right.
Whoever you go to, you gotta make sure they're already doing it. Like if I want to learn about electric and engineering, whatever the case Abadan do, and I'm trying to get there. I gotta go to him.
Right.
I can't go to somebody about electrical engineering and their professionals like playing like sports or something like that.
Right.
It got to be somebody who's already doing it because you're gonna get the results and the information and the wisdom that you need to get from that person.
Right.
You can't go to somebody who's lazy about, how do I make 6 figures a year?
Right.
How do I make $1 million in a year?
Right.
They're lazy. There's no information that they can share with you.
Right.
So these are all the instructions that we apply when we're getting counsel from somebody. Because these people, they're going to give you counsels according to the wisdom of the Most High. Right. Somebody who don't match, but let's go to verse 12.
Yeah, come, verse 12.
Go ahead.
But be continually with a godly man whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord.
So this is how these officers, these captains are going to be raised up in Moses' time.
Right.
Men that fear the commandments of the Most High.
Right.
Men that fear the Most High. Right. Men that keep the laws of the Lord. Because they're not going to compromise. They're not going to jeopardize. They're not going to tell you, well, I heard your situation. I heard Andrew Tate say this, and that. Right. They're going to give you Andrew Tate's wisdom. The sex trafficker. Right. They're going to give you his wisdom. That's not what the instruction was given. After you receive counsel, this is what you got to make sure you do too. Go down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And above all this,
go ahead.
Pray to the Most High.
Above all, you pray to the Most High, because counsel is of who? Counsel belongs to Yahweh.
Right.
That person who's giving you that information, they're going to be giving you information from Yahweh at the end of the day. So you got to make sure you pray that the Most High give you that wisdom, that understanding, those results that you desire. So don't be that person that you go into somebody who despises you about counsel. Because most likely they're going to give you something that's going to be for your destruction. Go ahead.
I was trying to precept. Let me find it real quick. It's perfect. What we're talking about.
Because a lot of these examples, especially the one where somebody give you a counsel and they're watching from afar. Right. A lot of our people in the world is known for doing that. A lot of our people is known for doing that in the world. They're known for doing that. There's so many people that, a lot of times there's people, especially, I know you could, I gave you this example before. A lot of people, they have the ability to give you counsel. They don't say nothing, but when things hit the fan and goes bad, that's when they want to give you counsel about the situation. A lot of people is known for doing that. God, I thought
40, 13. Come on, give me Isaiah chapter 40, verse 13.
What you was going to say?
I was going to say, bro, like, they'll just watch, see things
unfold, and now they want to say you could have did this when you can't change no situation.
Exactly, exactly. When somebody gives you counsel and they go wrong, but the worst you can say is, "My bad. I didn't know it was going to turn out that way." Right? I was confident that it would have went this way. But let's read Isaiah 40 and verse 13. All right.
That's the worst thing to do to somebody, man. I remember somebody did that, man. It was hard for me to let that go. I'm like, yo, you kind of told me this so over a year ago. Why you waited till I think the fan tell me this?
Like you said, they trying to see if it work out, man. You use you as a lab rat.
Right. The book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 13.
Read.
Who hath directed the spirit of Yahweh?
Who hath directed the spirit of the Most High? Right? We know that the words that the Most High speak unto us, that's his spirit, right? But who has directed that? Who told the Most High, yes, say this? No. Say that. Read.
Who hath directed the spirit of Yahweh? Or being his counselor has taught him?
Who taught the Most High? Who counseled the Most High? Right? Who sat the Most High down and said, listen, right? When two people get married, this is how the marriage needs to go, right? The woman needs to be the head of the man, right? Nobody sat down and told the Most High that, right? Nobody could tell the Most High that. The Most High tells you what? The man is the head of the woman. Nobody sat down the Most High and said, listen, yeah, go ahead, create all the beasts, but guess what? Let them eat snake and rat and bat. Nobody was able to tell the Most High that. The Most High created the animals, and he tell you what you can eat and what you can't eat. Can you read it?
Instructed him and taught him in the path of judgment.
No, verse 14.
Verse 14. With whom took he counsel?
Right? With whom did the Most High take counsel? Read.
And who instructed him and taught him?
And who instructed the Most High? Who taught the Most High? Read.
In the path of judgment, it taught him knowledge.
Right?
And showed to him the way of understanding.
Obviously, these are rhetorical questions. Because nobody did this. But it's meant to make the point that anytime you're going to counsel, don't put your counsel above the counsel of the Lord. Because then you would be answering this question and say, I counsel. Right? You'll be putting yourself, right? You would be the answer to this question. Because you would then be making it seem as if your judgment is better, your instruction is better, your counsel is better. Verse 15. Oh, no, that's it on that.
Go on.
All right, let's go back to the portion. So, okay, all right.
Verse 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Yahweh, men of truth, hating covetousness, right, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, right, rulers of 50 and rulers of tens, right, and let them judge the people at all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, right. For every small matter they should judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. Read. If thou shalt do this thing, and Yahweh command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. Right. And all this people shall also go to their place in peace. In what? In peace. Read. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law, right, and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, right, rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of tens, right, and they judged the people at all seasons. At what? At all seasons. So it's at all seasons, right? You just don't crack open the book if somebody calls you during the week and then on the weekend you like, well, I'm gonna just give you my own counsel. No, you counsel the people at all seasons. Read. The hard causes they brought unto Moses. But every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land. Come, I'm gonna do 19, and then I'll let you go. Go ahead. Chapter 19. In the third month, right, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, right? For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai. And in the wilderness, there Israel camped before the mount, right? And Moses went up unto Yahweh, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say unto the house of Jacob, right, and tell the children of Israel, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings. and brought you unto myself.
Right.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye should be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Right? It says that if you keep the covenant, we will be a peculiar treasure unto him. Give me Deuteronomy 26 and verse 16. We're just going to read through the covenant. We always read these even after service because the Most High continues to refer to that covenant because that's the most important thing. Understanding our place, right? Understanding what happens if we obey, if we disobey. Because that's what it all boils down to. Read that.
26:1.
26:16. Deuteronomy 26:16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 26 and verse 16.
Read.
This day Yahweh thy power hath commanded thee to do these statutes and judgments. Thou shalt therefore keep and do them with all thine heart, and with all thy soul.
Right.
Thou hast avouched Yahweh this day to be thy power.
To be thy what?
To be thy power,
Read.
and to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments, and to hearken unto his voice.
So we read in here in the covenant, the Most High gave us laws, statutes, and commandments, and we agreed that we would do. Read.
And Yahweh has avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people, as he has promised thee, and that thou shouldest keep all his commandments, and to make thee high above all nations, which he hath made in praise and in name and in honor, that thou mayest be an holy people unto Yahweh thy power, as he hath spoken.
So within the covenant, we have avouched that we will keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. The Most High has avouched that he will make us high above all nations in praise, in name, and in honor. He will protect us. We will be his people, and that's how it should be. So now when we're reading in Exodus 19, the Most High is saying the very same thing. If they keep the covenant, you will be a peculiar people unto himself, right? A peculiar treasure. A lot of people look at us today, we don't look much like a peculiar treasure. Why? Because we broke the covenant of the Most High God.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. So in the Most High, that's saying, listen, the way you will be perceived on the earth, you will be perceived as a peculiar treasure if you keep my commandments. That's what we're trying to get back to. Because there's going to be one day that the people are going to look at the Israelites and realize, man, that they are a peculiar treasure, man. Right? It's nobody else like them on the earth. These truly are God's people. Keep reading. Back to the portion of the episode.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
Right.
These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahweh.
Right.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, and that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever.
For what?
Forever.
Forever. Read.
And Moses told the words of the people unto Yahweh.
Right.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them today. And tomorrow let them wash their clothes and be ready against the third day. For the third day will come down in the sight of the people upon Mount Sinai.
Right.
And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, take heed to yourselves that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall surely be put to death.
So the Most High is setting a boundary. He's saying, all right, Moses, you can come up to the mount, but everybody else, don't touch the edge of the mount, right? Don't touch it. You can be on the outskirts, but don't touch it. The Most High is setting boundaries. Now, we know our people. Somebody probably say, well, why Moses get to go up there, right? Somebody probably said that in their mind, right? We don't have no right of somebody saying that, but it's just to understand when the Most High sets a boundary or he says something, it just is what it is. It doesn't matter about how you feel. You understand? No. All right.
There should not a hand touch it, but he should surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounded long, they should come up to the mount. Right. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
So he told them, listen, make sure you wash yourself, get clean. Amen. Don't even deal with your wives. Just be prepared to meet the Lord, right? Because the Lord is going to come down. He's going to speak. Everybody's going to hear him, right? But Moses is the one that's going to be up in the mountain. Read.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightning and thick cloud upon the mountain, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud. So all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Right.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet Yahweh. And it stood at the nether part of the mount.
Right.
And Mount Sinai altogether on a smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in a fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace. And the whole mount quaked greatly.
Right.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake unto Yahweh. And Yahweh answered him by a voice.
Right.
And Yahweh came down upon the Mount Sinai and on top of the mount, and Yahweh called Moses up unto the top of the mount, and Moses went up.
Right.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, go down and charge the people, lest they break through. And so like unto Yahweh to gaze.
Right.
And many of them perished.
So the Most High is telling Moses, hey, go back down and tell them, right, no matter how bad they want to see me, right, don't break through the barrier. Because we even see, right, some people at concerts, they run up on the stage, what happened? Security guard, take them out, right? They done got so overzealous, they want to run up and try to touch this person. And so listen, it was the same thing with the Most High, right? Yes, you have that zeal, I want to see the Lord, but the Lord said, don't come up here, so don't do it. Regardless of how much zeal you have for the Most High, don't go against his voice. Regardless of how much zeal you have for the Most High, do not go against his voice. Right? Read. Because the Most High isn't considered, well, he was just being zealous. No. Listen, you might meet death. Right? You might still get that judgment. Regardless of your excuse being, well, I was just zealous for the Lord. All right? Keep reading. Verse 22.
And let the priests also, which come near to Yahweh, sanctify themselves. Yes, Yahweh break forth upon them.
Right.
And Moses said unto Yahweh, the people cannot come up on the mount, without charges us, saying, set bounds about the mount and sanctify it.
Right.
And Yahweh said unto them, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto Yahweh, lest he break forth upon them.
Right.
So Moses went down unto the people and spake unto them.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1.
So before we continue, let's recap some of the things we went over so far. So what did we go over so far in chapter 18 and 19? I know you went over it thoroughly. So what did we go over in 18:19?
Like in 18, Moses' conversation with Jethro and Jethro's advice to Moses about leadership, like setting up men that were righteous to break down judgment for the people.
Okay. And what else? How did we structure ourselves?
How we structure ourselves.
Mhm.
The men, we had different ranking.
All right. What was the rankings, sisters?
10s, 50s, 100s.
Okay. So what's some of the qualities that these men had to have? What does it mean to fear the Lord? Okay. So what are some red flags that you should pay attention to for a counselor? Okay.
That have experience in that situation are knowledgeable.
Okay, Con.
And they're speaking upon their own ideas and not biblical terms.
Jealousy. Okay. Was there anything else? All right, let's continue chapter 20.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1. And the Most High spake all these words, saying,
Mm-hmm.
I am Yahweh thy God.
So right now the Most High is speaking. So before, when the people is hearing this, and we got to pay attention to what's being done here, right? When the presence of the Most High was coming onto the mount, and the Most High is speaking to Moses, what is Moses hearing? When the Most High is speaking to Moses, what is Moses hearing? Moses is hearing the words of the Most High God. But when the Most High is speaking, what is everybody hearing? Thundering and lightning,
Yeah.
right? Showing you when the Most High is speaking, not everybody's going to be able to understand the words of the Most High God.
Right.
Not everybody is going to be able to understand the words of the Most High. Because you're going to see eventually why the Most High decided to use, why the people said, Moses, why don't you speak to us? Because right now in chapter 20, the Most High is speaking. Moses is plainly is able to hear the voice of the Most High. So later on, you're going to see that the people are not able to understand what the Most High is saying. What they're hearing is just thundering and lightning. That's what they're hearing. They're not hearing, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. They're not hearing that.
Right.
They're hearing thundering and lightning. Give me Job 37:1 real quick first. Job 37:1.
I remember something. I don't know. Can I know that?
Hmm?
I remember something.
Yeah, go ahead.
And also about the idols, how God made an example to of the Egyptian and all the nations of the world took understood and they heard about the Most High did, and it brought fear to them. You know what I'm saying? And also, then we correlated with the future prophecy what's going to happen to the nations in future times when God come and deliver us again out of the hands of
Our oppressors, right?
Yeah,
Go on.
The book of Job, chapter 37 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
At this also my heart trembleth, and is moved out of his place.
Go ahead.
Hear attentively the noise of his voice,
Of his voice, go ahead.
and the sound that goeth out of his mouth.
Go ahead.
He directed it under the whole heaven, and his lightning,
And his what?
his
Go
lightning
ahead.
unto the ends of the earth.
Go ahead.
After it a voice roared. He thundereth.
He what?
He thundereth
Thundereth in his what?
with the voice of his excellency.
Okay, so when he spoke, it sounded like thunder, like that's what the people was hearing. Give me Revelation 10:4. Because this also happens with John the Revelator. When John the Revelator was in heaven, in the spirit, through the spirit of the Most High God, he's seeing all these events happening. He's writing these things down. So when he heard the voice of the Most High spoke, he heard thundering, and the thunder, and then he heard the angel say, "Don't write that down, what you heard." All right, so let's get Revelation real quick, 10:4.
Book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse 4. And when the seven thunders,
Don't you start from verse 1?
gone. The book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet were pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot upon the earth, and cried with a loud voice,
Cried with a loud voice, right?
as when a lion roared. And when he had cried, seven thunders.
When he had what?
Seven thunders.
When he cried, when he uttered his voice, what happened?
Seven thunders uttered their voices.
So when he cried out, what did it sound like? Thunder. It sounded like thunder and lightning. This is what the people is hearing on Mount Sinai. They're not hearing, "Thou shalt not covet." What it sounds like to them is thundering, and it sounds like a whole pandemonium going on that mountain.
Right.
But we're gonna see that later on when we continue Exodus. Go back to Exodus.
Salaki. Let me get John 12 and 29.
Go ahead. This is why the people needed Moses to give them the will of the Most High God. This is why we need Yahushua to understand the will of the Most High God.
All right.
Go ahead.
John 12 and 29.
Go ahead. Go ahead. The book of John, chapter 12 and verse 29. The people, therefore, that stood by.
Salaki, go to verse 28. Yeah, come on.
Verse 28. Father, glorify thy name. Then came there a voice from heaven saying,
A what?
A voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again.
Read.
The people, therefore, that stood by heard it and said,
They heard it and said what?
That it thundered.
That it did what?
That it thundered.
That it did what?
That it
That
thundered.
it thundered. Read.
Others said, an angel spake to him.
Exactly. So when we hear that voice coming from heaven, they heard thunder. But others who kind of probably have more knowledge, like, nah, that's an angel speaking, right? That's a voice coming from heaven. But the people who just heard thunder, that's all they heard was thunder. right? So now
The average people is like,
yeah, the average people
Right.
just heard thunder. So we see that when the Most High is speaking, like Captain's saying, the people all they hearing is thunder. And some of that time, that thunder can get loud.
Right.
We all know, man, when that lightning flash, that lightning that look blue, you know the thunder that's coming behind that one. Yeah, you might have to cover your ears for that one, man.
Yeah.
Right? That thunder don't play, man.
Right.
And who knows how loud this thunder was? We probably ain't seen nothing compared to what
Right.
Israel's seeing right now, man. Right? So the Most High, his voice is just even his voice is just something that you just can't just in the presence of, man. You gotta have a mediator with that, man.
Right.
Because that thunder is right above them.
That thunder, exactly. And the Most High told him to come round about the mouth. So you just gonna say, well, I'm gonna go back to the tent. All right, I think I got something to do over here. No, you got to be right there at the bottom. Don't come near it, right? Don't touch it, the actual mount. But you need to be in presence, right? What you supposed to say?
Yeah, I was saying, back in Jamaica growing up, man, it had like grown people like afraid of thunders and lightning. Man.
Listen,
now
that
I'm going to the bed, man.
That thunder, hey, that thunder, and who knows about how the mountains are set up, the echoes or the sound being amplified? We don't know. Most of us live in the cities, but down in the mountains, who knows how that thunder being amplified, man?
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that really just speaks to the fear we're supposed to have towards the Most High.
Right.
Thunder and lightning.
That-
Sometimes it catch you off guard.
Hey, that's what I'm trying to tell you, and it's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
It's nothing you could do, man. That thunder and lightning, right? So
Right.
It encompasses the whole earth. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 2.
Mhm.
I am the Most High, thy power,
Mhm.
which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt,
Uh-huh.
out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods
Mhm.
before me.
So the first commandment that the Most High gives us is that we have no other powers before the Most High. Let me get Deuteronomy 6 and 8. Real quick. Let me get Deuteronomy 6 and 8. We should have no other powers before the Most High. Is he only just talking about like false gods, like idols made by the hands of men? Is he talking about that too? Only talking about that? Not only talking about that. He's talking about anything that you give power over you that reigns supreme instead of the Most High God. Because your son could become that your God. Your mother could be your God. You could jeopardize the commandments of the Most High God for your own spouse. You could do that.
6, 8, or 13 and 6 when it talks about if a family member.
No, 6 and 8.
Okay.
Hero Israel.
Oh, it's 6 4. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Multiple.
Is one
Or
Lord.
your girlfriend.
Is one
Your
Lord.
uncle.
Is one
There's
Lord.
only one power.
Right.
There's only one power the Most High gave us. So he said you can't put no other God. You can't have no other God. But him.
Right.
Only his rules got to reign supreme in your life.
Mhm.
Because what happens when you have family members that you love so much over the Most High? You start jeopardizing the commandments of God. You start not keeping the Sabbath day of the Most High. You may miss the Passover for them. You may turn a blind eye for them.
Right.
So the Most High said you can't have no other powers before him.
Mhm.
Because you can't be put between two places.
Right.
You're either going to serve one or you serve the other.
Right.
That's how Most High see it. So let me get 1 Corinthians 10 and 21. 1 Corinthians 10 and 21. Because you can't do two with the Most High. You got to do one. Most High have one name, one power, one faith, one baptism. When you have all these options before you, now it gets harder to serve the Most High God.
Right.
Now you're wondering, man, if I go to the Shabbat service, I may be single by Sabbath sundown.
Right.
If I go. But if I don't go keep the Shabbat, my man might leave me.
Right.
You might start having these thoughts. But you have to remember, you have to put the Most High first. He's the only power. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10 and verse 21.
Go ahead.
Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord.
Because at the end of the day, you can't drink of the cup of the Lord and what?
And the cup of devils.
In the cup of what?
And the cup of devils.
Go ahead.
Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table
Uh-huh.
and of the table of devils.
And you can't be a partaker of the devil. That means you can't be on both sides. You can't have two. You can't have multiple. You only got to have the Most High.
That's right.
Why is it so important? This is why it's so important that when you come into this truth, you be around like-minded people. Because when you're not around like-minded people, now you're split between serve their God or whatever they're serving, or you're going to serve the Most High God.
Mm.
When you get somebody in this word, when you get somebody in your life, are we going to be keeping the Passover, or are we going to be keeping the Christmas
Right.
at the crib? You're going to be drinking the Passover wine, or you're going to be drinking Christmas eggnog.
Right, right.
You're going to be put in between on what you're going to do.
Right.
So let's go right back.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not make any graven image
Uh-huh.
or any likeness of anything that is in heaven, above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
So does that mean you can't have a lion picture in your house?
No.
What about an image of a falcon in your house? Or an elephant?
No.
Can you or can you not have those things?
You can have it.
You can have those things. Give me a Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, I think it's 13 and 9. You can have these things, but we cannot give ourselves to them. We can't give power to them. No. The most I said we can't have these graven images because our people is known for what? Idolatry. Because these things are right there. They're right at the front door of spiritual fornication. Well, a lot of these nations, they have elephants like Elam. What do they do with elephants? They turn them to God. Now they have women with 5 titties and elephant trunks and all over the place. Elephant trunks all over the place. And they worship these things. Moab with the dragons and etc.
All right.
Go ahead.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
For they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? But miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope, who call them gods, which are the works of men's hands.
Go ahead. The works of what?
Men's hands.
Go ahead.
Gold and silver to show art in, and resemblance of beasts.
Resemblance of what?
Of beasts.
Go ahead.
Or a stone good for nothing.
Like the Kaaba stone that Ishmael have. Go ahead.
The work of an ancient hand. Now a carpenter that felleth timber, after he had sawn down a tree meet for the purpose, and taken off all the bark skillfully round about, and have wrought it handsomely, and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life, after spending the refuse of his work.
Let's go right back.
Oh, come. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me.
Go ahead.
And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me.
That do what?
That love me.
Go ahead.
And keep my commandments.
Let me get John 14:15. Let me get John 14:15. So he gets explaining this to us right there that we can't bow down and serve them. That we can't worship these things like they are Yahweh. And the most important things right here from the beginning, the Most High showed us how to love him. Right here is to keep the commandments. This is what Yahweh was quoting. The only way for us to show the Most High we have affection, that we have love, that we're sincere with serving the Most High, is to keep the commandments. His instructions that he's about to start giving us from here and after. Go ahead.
The book of John, chapter 14 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
If ye love me,
if you what?
If ye love me,
go ahead.
Keep my commandments.
That we will keep these instructions. Because these instructions show the Most High that God, okay, we're serious about him. These instructions show each other that we're serious about each other. We pull for each other more than we pull for the nations.
Right.
Because these nations, they're really lawless. They don't have no righteous laws that tell them instead of killing each other or doing a purge, sit down at the table and talk to your brother. Sit down at the table and talk to your sister. Go back and reconcile before you go and worship your God. There's not one, I never seen anything like that in my time of researching these other nations, where their God tells them, before you could come and worship me, you got to go reconcile with your fellow citizen. You got to go sit down and go ask for forgiveness before you come and serve me. Only the God of Israel gave these laws. Go ahead. Let's go right back.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
Shall not take the name of Yahweh thy God in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
So what does it mean to take the name of the Most High in vain? Does that mean saying Yahweh 100 times? No. What does that mean? Give me a Proverbs 7:1. Ecclesiastes 7:1. What does that mean to take the name of the Most High in vain?
The repetition.
What does that mean? Expound on that.
Like for example, the commandments, like if you go against the commandments.
Warm. Very warm. It has to do with the reputation of the Most High. Because your name is what you stand for. Right? It's what you're about. When you take the name of the go ahead.
You take the name of vain as if you taking his word and the things that he stands for lightly.
You taking it lightly. Or let's say I have a plate of pork, right? Most High God condemns us eating pork. And I say, you know what? God bless me for giving me this pork. That's taking the name of the Most High in vain.
Right.
Did he ever allow you to eat pork? Or you say, man, all praises to Yahweh, man, I'm about to go to the strip club instead of going to the Shabbat shop.
Right.
That's taking the name of the Most High God in vain. You're putting dirt on his reputation.
Right.
Because your name is which is your reputation, is what you stand for. What's the Hebrew word for name? It's Shem. It means reputation, name, what you stand on. Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
A good name.
A good what?
A good name is better than precious ointment.
Your name is what talks about what you stand for, what you about. When somebody say your name, it should either be righteousness or wickedness. All right. When you hear what's a good example? When you're ISIS, what do you think when you hear the word ISIS?
Boom.
You hear boom. When you hear Arabs, what do you hear? Boom. You hear boom, right? When you hear Moab, the name Moab, what you hear?
Octopus.
Octopus, rat, bat, scat, squirrel. That's what you hear. Your name is your name associates you with many things. The name of the Most High. What do you hear when you hear Yahweh?
Fear.
Fear. The God who destroyed Egypt.
Right.
The God who gave us commandments. The God who gave us instruction. You don't hear eating pork when you hear the name of Yahweh.
Right.
You don't hear killing somebody, murdering somebody when you hear the name of Yahweh. You hear law, statutes, commandments, order, instruction, fear. That's what you hear. Let's go right back.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Go ahead.
6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High, thy power.
Go ahead.
In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son,
Go ahead.
nor thy daughter,
Go ahead.
thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Go ahead.
For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
So what are the rules for the Sabbath day? I don't think we got to go over this one. The next one we're going to go over. What's some of the rules for the Sabbath day? When is the Sabbath day? What do you do on the Sabbath day?
You set it apart. You set it apart. Things you normally do, you don't do on that day.
Like what?
Like work, cooking, partying.
Buying and selling.
Buying and selling. What else?
Relations with your loved ones.
What can you do on the Sabbath day?
Complicate.
Feast.
Convocate, feast,
Do good or help.
do good. Okay, let's test everybody's knowledge with the Sabbath day. Now let's say Sister Malcolm forgot the milk for Asa at the crib, right? She has milk on her right now. Can she go to Publix to get Asa milk? Because if you don't drink that milk, he's gonna have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, she can.
Why can't she?
Because it's lawful to do. That's a good deed that she's doing for her child.
Okay, Con, it's lawful to do good on this day. Okay. Okay, Con, you got that. I thought I was gonna. You got that. Go ahead.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 12.
Go ahead.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
What does the scripture say?
Honor thy father and thy mother.
The scripture say, honor thy father and honor thy mother. What does it mean to honor?
Respect.
It means to respect. Let me get Ephesians 6:1. This commandment is so heavy. It says, honor thy mother and thy father, because one day, who's going to be a mother and father? You're going to be a mother and father.
Right.
And the Most High, he does this a lot, because, I examined this even with my Alma and her father. What you do is what you're going to get when you have your own children.
Right.
Right? You just your parents, you're going to get that. Right? You don't honor your parents, that's what you're going to get. Because a lot of people, they believe in their minds, I would never be a bad parent.
All right.
Nobody ever say that with a conscious mind until it's time for them to be a parent and they're a bad parent. How you treat your parents is how your children is going to treat you. It's going to dictate how your relationship with your children. Go ahead.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
Children, obey your
So the
parents
scripture says, obey your parents, respect them. Go ahead.
in the Lord.
In the what?
In the Lord.
This is the most important part. Now, if your parents tell you, man, forget all that Sabbath stuff, let's go to church Sunday.
Right.
That's not in the Lord.
Right.
If they tell you, well, eat this pork collard green, pork necks.
Right.
That's not in the Lord. That's not in Yahweh.
Right.
Go ahead.
For this is right.
This is what?
This is right.
For this is right. Because you can't put your love for your parents above the commandments of the Most High God.
That's right.
You can't put the rules they give you and supersede them past the law of the Most High. Give me Matthew 10:35. 10:35. Because you got to honor them. Now, when you honor your parents, that means you disrespect them. You don't curse them out. You don't put your hands on them. You don't belittle them. You don't do none of that. Does that mean you have to talk to them every day? Does that mean you have to? You don't have to. Does that mean you have to go to, I don't know, that you're on their shoulders and with the kite, you're a grown man? No, that doesn't mean that. That just means you have respect for your parents. That's it. If you don't curse at them, you don't belittle them, you don't forsake them when they get old.
Right.
You don't do none of that.
That's a big thing, Salaka. That's a big thing.
Right.
When they get old. And I would encourage everybody to read Ecclesiasticus Sirach 3.
Right.
Because it details when your parents get old, the most high he looking dead at you. He wanna see. Is you gonna say, oh, it's too much, I got this and this to do. No, because when you was little, you was soiling yourself 15 times a day, and that parent changing that diaper, trust me, when they get old and they need help, that's when it comes into it, man. The Most High want to see you honor them in that way. Because you can never repay your parents for what they did for you. Right. I don't care if you bought them a house, you made it to the NFL, you got them 3 cars, they don't have to work no more. That still don't amount to everything that they've ever done for you.
A lot of them lost their hair because of you.
Exactly. They stayed up night, had to leave from work, go to the principal's office 10 times. You he say that's him, right? They moved you in 6 schools in the county, right? You got a shirt from every school in Miami, man, right? Everybody know you. So when it's time for them to get on and they need their assistance, man, you got to be there. Mm-hmm. Matthew chapter 10 verse 35. Right. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother.
Because when the Christ is telling us, when the truth comes in,
right,
wisdom, knowledge, and understanding come in, he's going to set a variance. That means there's going to be a division with your family, even with you and your parents. Go ahead.
And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Right. There's going to be beef.
Right.
Because you probably grew up respecting them. They tell you, it's okay to smoke weed. You want to go ahead and do it in the porch. Right. It's okay to eat pork. You want to eat it. Shrimp, steak. You probably was a respectful child to your parents in wickedness. Right. But when the word come in, now you can't follow those instructions no more. Right. You can't follow those orders anymore. So what do? Let's go ahead and continue.
Verse 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy.
It's not what?
Is not worthy of me. Is not worthy of me. But the
scripture says honor them. But Yahweh said, if you love them more than me, that's the key part. Right. You love them more than the Most High. You love them more than Yahweh. You're not worthy of the Most High. Right. You're doing things that they tell you to do, but that's contrary to the will of the Most High. Contrary to the scriptures, you don't love the Most High God more than you love your parents. You made your parents a God. That's what you just did. You just broke the first commandment. Right. Go ahead.
And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Go ahead.
And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
Because you're going to have to bear their cross. Right. You're going to have to hear them say, man, you used to be my son.
Right.
I don't know you no more.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with that. Go ahead. Right.
Verse 39. He that findeth his life shall lose it. And he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it.
That's it. What you had?
I was going to say, man, we had times when I'll be in the middle of something, my phone ring is the old boy. It's the old girl, like, man, we didn't end this call. Like, what if? But at the same time, my conscience, the Most High, like, oh, what if I'm calling you? Would you know what I'm saying? Right. You showing me how you would treat me. Right. Because you got your own father, your own mama calling you ready to bang it on them. You feel me?
Right.
No, but you gotta honor them as if you were under the Most High. So me or anybody, you know what I'm saying, have their parents, you know what I'm saying, asking for a certain favor, it's as if we doing it to the Most High. If you will react towards them this way, without a doubt, you'll do that to the Most High. Right. Because you don't honor the Father, which is on earth. How the hell you want to love the Most High that is not there?
You don't see him.
You don't see him.
The Most High can never give you no belt whooping. You felt it. So
it's hypocrisy when you say you love the Most High.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta honor your parents, and of course, our parents. You know, me and Kat talk about this all the time. You know, a lot of our parents they come from the islands and they come to America, right? And sometimes we might look like, well, why didn't my father, my mother teach me about financial literacy? And like I was telling Cap, if you go to Jamaica in some parts and you look around, there's nobody who has much. So in your mind, you're not thinking about how to gain something. There's no examples around you. You go to Haiti, you look, there's no examples. You go to Cuba, there's no examples. Right. So when they come here, they seeing it, but how do I get there? Right? Because especially in the times when they came, it wasn't as inclusive as it is now. We now have the internet. We have all of these things to where the information Esau tried to hide, all we got to do is go on Google, right? You can't hide it from everybody, right? Because your infrastructure works off this internet thing now. So, and we have access to it. So it's the same thing when your mother and your father, they were teaching you, right? Whatever they were getting from pastor and bringing it back home, they thought they were doing right. Now you get the truth, and it challenges everything that they taught you. Of course, they feel some type of way because it's basically like you're telling them that they're wrong without telling them that they're wrong. Right. So now they like, so you think I'm wrong? You think I did wrong by you? And they get defensive. What you got to do is you got to kind of bear that spike in a little bit and just continue to be that example, because then eventually they'll come around. Or they might not. But nonetheless, we read the scriptures. You got to be for the Most High, Yahweh, before you even for your own parents. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 12. Mm-hmm. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt not murder. What does it say? Thou shalt not kill. What does the scripture say? Thou shalt not kill.
Let me get Exodus chapter 12 and 21. So a lot of times our people see this and they just run a mile with it because they rely on the English. Thou shalt not kill. What like the captain said is thou shalt not murder. The Hebrew word for that is ratzah, meaning to murder or to kill somebody with intent. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's literally thou shalt not kill, that means when you kill an ant, you sin. Right. When you get a vaccine for a virus, that means you sin because you're killing these a lot of these Christians that got the COVID-19 shot, the jump shot, right? I remember brothers with the Beetlejuice. When they got the Beetlejuice, they committed a sin killing the COVID virus. Because that's a living thing. Let me get the scripture real quick.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 21.
Go ahead.
Then Moses called for the elders and of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families.
A lamb is a living thing, isn't it? Go ahead.
And kill.
What does the scripture say?
And kill.
Into what?
And kill the Passover.
So did the Most High command you to break his commandments? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because it says, thou shalt not kill, and then it tells you have to kill the Passover. So does the Most High want you to keep the Passover or not? And did Yahweh try to say because they killed the Passover?
Right.
Now that doesn't make any sense, but it's thou shalt not murder. You can't murder somebody with intent. Let me get Exodus 21, I think it's 21 and 10, right? 21 and 10.
Yeah, it's Matthew 19, 18.
No,
21 and 10. Oh, no, 12. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse 12. Go ahead. He that smiteth a man.
This is it right here. When you smiteth a man with intent, go ahead.
So that he
dies, go ahead.
Shall be surely put to death.
This is what it's talking about.
Right.
Now, you're not supposed to murder. When you smite somebody for you to make sure that he dies, there's intent behind it. Right. You want that person to be dead. That's murder. That's what the Most High is talking about. We're not allowed to murder. Right. Is that the only way you can murder somebody? Mm-hmm. What's the other way you can murder somebody? Getting a hitman. Okay. Hey, let me get that in 1 John. Yeah. 1 John 3 and 19, I believe.
Murder at war.
Murder at war?
Yeah.
At war, you killing at war. You killing at war.
Yeah.
You don't murder nobody.
3:15.
Yeah, 15. The book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
Whosoever hateth his brother.
This is the other way you could kill. This is so much Yahweh expounded on. Because all these things, where they come from? Hatred, covetousness, lasciviousness, right? Theft. Where all these things come from? They come from mind.
That's right.
So if you have hatred for somebody, what could come out from that? Covetousness. You could steal. You could murder somebody. Because all of it's going to be here first. Then it acts out through your vessel. Go ahead.
Whosoever hated his brother is a murderer.
Is a what?
Is a murderer.
Is a who?
Is a murderer.
When you have hatred towards your fellow Israelite, that means you're a murderer. Because that could potentially come out next.
Right.
Cain had a spirit of jealousy and envy towards his brother. What did he end up doing?
Right.
Murdering his brother.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
That he's not going to inherit from the Most High God.
Right.
So let's go right back to where he's at. Thou shalt not murder.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, and verse 13. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not commit what?
Adultery.
So is adultery? What is adultery? Let's get Leviticus 21 and 10. What is adultery?
Having relations with another man's wife.
Now, I'm gonna ask this question because it's a Christian church, and you got a lot of Christian Israelites too. Is adultery is when a man has a wife and he takes on a woman that's single with no ties with any other man. Is that adultery? Okay, come on, let's get that. Leviticus 21 and 10.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20, and verse 10.
What?
And the man that committed adultery.
This is the biblical definition of adultery. Go ahead.
With another man's wife.
With another man's what?
With another man's wife.
With another man's wife is what?
Even he.
Even who?
Even he. That committed adultery.
Right.
With his neighbor's wife.
With your fellow Israelite's wife. Go ahead.
The adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
So you have to be put to death. And adultery is when you take a child talking to another man's woman.
Right.
Go ahead.
What was that scripture?
Leviticus 21 and 10. You got to cut somebody 20 and 10. That later in.
That's right. Leviticus 20 and 10.
Leviticus 20 and 10. Yeah. That's the biblical definition of adultery. Right. Is that the only way you could commit adultery?
No.
What's the other way? Let's get Matthew 19.
Matthew 19.
What's the other way of committing adultery? It's like 19 and 9.
Yeah, 19 and 8.
I'm sorry, 8.
I'll just start at verse 7. The book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 7. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication.
Except it be for fornication. Go ahead.
And shall marry another, committed adultery.
So if you put away your wife and it's not for fornication, right? And she marries somebody else, you basically as guilty as her.
Right.
Commit adultery with another man.
Right.
Because what did you do? You set the conditions for her to go commit adultery.
That's right.
Right? There's no other way that you could put away your wife. There's no, she's not listening to me. For your sisters, he's just like, I don't know, he's not P or whatever. Go ahead.
So is it like another possible way, like a man, he'll go find a single woman and she has no ties to anyone, but he doesn't actually take her on as his wife. Like she's his wife, but he doesn't take her on as his wife. So he just has her floating around as a single woman, but he's single. If you understand what I'm saying.
Is she sleeping around with other men too? Or no?
No. But would that be him committing adultery?
He wouldn't be committing adultery, but that would be like that's dealing with that spirit of fornication.
Right.
That's what that'd be. He'd be dealing with the spirit of a whoremonger.
Right.
He's like a flea jumping all over the place. Let's get Matthew 5 as well. Matthew 5, and let's start from verse 27. Matthew 5 and 27.
Salakia, just to kind of give a little bit more insight. That's why it's important that before the man and the woman lie together, that man goes to her father. Because if he did try to pull that, then more than likely that father, and if she got brothers, they finna go see about him. So he's just not gonna be able to just skate away. But if you just met him at the club and you decided, forget what daddy gotta say, I'm gonna go do my thing, then that's what you run into. Because now he done blocked you and you can't find him. Right? So that's why it's important that the father always knows, because you're his possession. So it's kind of like, how did that happen in the first place? If she just was going on by herself, wanted to play what the scriptures call, wanted to play the whore in her father's house, well, that's what you get for playing the whores in your father's house. But if it was a genuine thing and everything was set up, next thing you know,
the guy went ahead and did anything, the Most High deal with that man, because now you committing folly in Israel. Was it Matthew 5:1?
5:26.
The book of Matthew 5 and verse 26. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence, till thou hast paid the utmost farthing.
Go ahead.
Verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So if you look on a woman that's belongs to somebody, and you think, oh man, I can't, man, if that were me, you committed adultery in your mind already. You're just as guilty as committing guilty, and you just already committed adultery in your mind.
All right.
So you gotta understand, when Yahweh came on the scene, he switched up the game. He magnified the law, showing us the root of where a lot of these things come from. A lot of these things, they begin from here. People thinking it's already when you did it, that's where it started at. No, it started up here. You had to think about it.
Yeah.
Damn, she bad. Why she with him? She should be with me.
Right.
Right. I'm cute. I'm nice. Right? You committed it up here already. Let me get Deuteronomy 20:23 as well.
Can I say something, Captain?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's why is watching porn. For instance, you watch another man having sexual intercourse with another woman. In God's eye, they are married, and you sitting there, you're lusting over that.
Well, actually, they're fornicating.
They're fornicating.
Right.
Yeah, but
Verse 22.
Said 22 and what?
Chapter 22 and 22.
Okay.
Go ahead.
no, that's I was assuming that's another form of adultery. You know what I'm saying?
That's a form of fornication.
Fornication.
Watch your pornography. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22 and verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then shall both of them die.
So this is another example. This is the law reiterating on adultery again. Go ahead.
Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman.
Go ahead.
So shalt thou put away evil from Israel.
Go ahead.
If the damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city.
Now, what does it mean to be betrothed?
You want gang?
Engaged. It means engaged. That's funny, man. It means to be engaged. Go ahead.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her,
right, and a man sleeps with her, go ahead.
Then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die.
Right.
The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he had humbled his neighbor's wife.
So this is another situation where this is an act of adultery, right? Not only if it's somebody's wife, but somebody's betrothed to this woman. When you sleep with her, that's punishable by death.
Right.
And you committed adultery in the eyes of the Most High.
Right.
So like, what are the qualifications of some of one being betrothed?
That means she's partner to somebody, or she's fiancée to somebody who's about to be married.
So that's verbally known,
Yes.
Okay.
That's understood. You would know if you asked the brother or you asked the sister. You would know.
Right.
And if you're still trying to holler at it, then you might get dragged by Taz and get stoned.
Right. and the father would know.
Right.
The father would know. The father would know, yes, my daughter was betrothed to this man.
Right.
Vice versa. You see what I'm trying to say? But in this situation, she knows she betrothed the man and she's not crying out. So she's in league with this dude, right? She's like, my father already promised me to brother such and such, but I really wanted you anyway. Right? They try to go and the one thing we know when you come to this truth, right? Everybody say it, you can't get away. When you do something, the Most High will expose you. You can't get away. The Most High, it could be 2-3 years down the road. The Most High gonna expose you. Because we know also, let's say for instance, this woman did do it and tried to conceal it. When she goes to get married, her husband is expecting what? A virgin.
Right.
So now she's in a rock and a hard place because this is what happens. If she dies. If she lies to her husband and her husband finds out she's not a virgin,
he might do it himself.
She dies. So either way, she dies.
Right.
So it's better that you just don't do it, because even if you get away then, eventually you're gonna get married. He's gonna find out you're not a virgin, and you're gonna die anyway. Once again, you cannot get away with the laws of the Most High.
Right.
The laws of the Most High is airtight. There's no loophole. Don't let America fool you with their law when you feel like you can get away. You can't get away. Eventually, you will receive your judgment. Right? So, that's on that adultery. So, adultery is when a man sleeps with sleeps with a married woman. The book of Exodus 20 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not steal.
Go ahead.
Verse 16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
So what does it mean to bear false witness? What does it mean to bear false witness? You want to do Deuteronomy 15 and 19?
No, I was going to something to ask, but
what does it mean to bear false witness?
You say you saw something you didn't.
When you say, let's say we're doing a council right now, we got Mathatha on the seat, right? You got the spirit of the devil on you. Let's say we have Mathatha on the hot seat, and we're trying to figure out something on Mathatha. And Sister Malcolm Abadan said, "Yo, we seen him at the strip club." Right? But Taz and Asaph say, "Yo, we seen him at his house." And if we found out that he was actually at his house, y'all bear false witness. You lied and you give false testimony where this brother was at. That's an example of bearing false witness. What you have?
No, I was just gonna go to an account of when they tried to accuse Stephen of blasphemy against the Most High. So I was just gonna read a little account, but I'll go to what you have first.
Let me get Deuteronomy 19:15. This is why the Most High gave us this law. So for a matter to be judged, there has to be how many witnesses?
More than two.
There got to be more than two. Two witnesses, because it be your word versus this person's word. There got to be at least two people. Now, let's say this would have happened. Me and Captain Ahud decided to gang up on Asaph and say, "Yo, we seen him rob Wells Fargo Bank, and he really didn't do it. He should be put to death because he did that. What should happen to us?"
You should be put to death. To avoid all of that, there has to be an investigation. Even if it's two witnesses, you can't just say, "Oh, two people said it." Okay, yeah, because that's what happened.
We're gonna get to that scripture too.
Yeah, because that's what happened. With Suzanne, and there had to be, because there's a law that says you need to investigate.
Right. Daniel had to call a retrial.
Right.
Let's get
Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for an iniquity.
Go ahead.
Or for any sin. In any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be established.
Go ahead.
If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him, that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh.
They're gonna stand before what?
Before Yahweh.
And let's say we can't figure out what the hell's going on. Yo, you saying this, you saying that. We got the witnesses, and we still can't get nothing done. Now we gotta stand before Yahweh now. Now Yahweh gotta be the judge. Now we're going to the Supreme Court. Go ahead.
Before the priest and the judges. Before the priest and the judges.
So why is the priest involved in this? What do the priests have on them? What does the Urim and Thummim do? If they don't give a divine answer, now that's the Supreme Court. Nothing goes past the Supreme Court, even in America. Now, if we're asking you, were you in the strip club instead of being at the Shabbat? No. Okay, let's bring him before the priests and the Yahweh and the judges.
Right.
We're gonna ask you again, were you at the strip club? No. Listen, the Urim and Thummim is gonna give one color. Right. You better hope it says La'ah.
Right.
You better hope it shine La'ah. Go ahead.
Which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition.
Now they're gonna start asking, okay, where were you at work? Let's go get his manager. Was he at work? Let us see the time and punch it. Do you have anybody who's seen you? Who you work with? What department?
Right.
Who's your camp leader?
Right.
What's his name? What shirt was he wearing that day? Now they're gonna start asking questions. Go ahead.
If the witness be false witness and have testified falsely against his brother, then ye shall do unto him.
He's gonna do unto what?
Then ye shall do unto him as he had thought to have done unto you.
So whatever you thought was gonna happen to this brother or that sister, because you lied and gave false testimony, that's to happen to you.
All right.
Even in this word, we could apply this law. If somebody say, "Yo, I saw her talking to such and such husband while she had a husband," and they said she needs to get kicked out of the congregation, the minute that counsel is done, guess who got to get kicked out according to the law? That sister got to go. That brother got to go, or we'll be in sin. They got to go. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Those that remain, verse 19. Then ye shall do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother, so shalt thou put the evil away from among you.
So shall we put what?
Put the evil away from among you.
So we can't let those false those people that false testimony slide.
All right.
Because it's a direct violation against the will of the Most High God. We do a counsel, we find out somebody lying in that counsel, we got to deal with them.
Right.
Or we're not keeping this law. And this is a law that we can keep. Let's go right back.
So I'm gonna read just an account from the book of Acts on how they were dealing with Stephen, right? So this is the book of Acts chapter 6 verse 8. It says, and Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines, and Cyrenians and Alexandrians, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia, disputing with Stephen. And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. So Stephen is confounding, right? They're trying to battle with him, but Stephen is just giving them the word, right? So when somebody is kind of giving you the word, right? You resort to, right? Now you probably want to fight, right? You probably want to get this person out of here. You think they know too much, right? You can't whoop me, right? Now you just going off the rails, right? Verse 10, verse 11. They were suborned men which said, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. Did it say that? No. It said that they were not able to resist his wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. If we want to know which spirit he was dealing with, we look at verse 8. It says, and Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. So we know that Stephen is dealing with the spirit of the Lord. But these men said Stephen was dealing with what? He was dealing with blasphemous words against Moses and against God, right? Then it says, verse 12, and they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes and came upon him and caught him and brought him to the council. So for their false witness of what this brother spoke, they done stirred the whole community up. So now everybody's saying, well, go and get this brother, right? Go and get this Stephen that is speaking against Moses and is speaking against the Most High. Verse 13, and set up false witness, which said, this man ceaseth not to speak blasphemous words against this holy place and the law. So basically, this is what they did to Stephen. They lied on Stephen. They brought him to the courtroom, right? And this is a cut to anybody who said that the law is done away with. When you bring somebody up upon charges in the court, you're looking to get them convicted, right? You're not going to bring somebody to court and say, I seen this person help an old lady cross the street. That's a good deed. You're not going to do nothing to them. When you bring them to court, you're going to say, listen, I seen this old lady walking across the street and he ran and he pushed the old lady down, took her groceries and made off, right? They're going to say, well, you know what? We're going to have to charge you with battery and also for theft, right? That's what you would bring somebody up upon charges to try to get them convicted. So they're bringing Stephen up on charges saying, listen, he committed blasphemy against Moses and against the Most High. So now let's see what they're saying he said. For we have heard him say that this Yahushua of Nazareth shall destroy this. So they're accusing Stephen. He said that Yahushua is going to destroy Jerusalem and shall change the customs which Moses delivered. And they also said that he said the law is done away with. He said that Yahushua came to do away with the law of Moses. Now, why would they bring that up as a charge against him if that's what the scripture is supposed to say? If the scripture said that the law is done away with, why would they bring that up as a charge? That wouldn't get him convicted. But it would get him convicted because they know that the law isn't done away with. They know that Yahushua didn't come to do that. So that's a cut to anybody saying that the law is done away with. They already tried to bring somebody up on that charge and it didn't stick, right? Verse 15 and verse 14 again. For we have heard him say that this Yahushua of Nazareth shall destroy this place and shall change the customs which Moses delivered. And all that sat in council, looking steadfastly on him, saw his face as it had been the face of the angel. So even though all these accusations have came on him, when they looking at Stephen, they like, nah, he ain't do it.
It's like you put a Captain McCall in the hot seat. Exactly. He was being blasphemous.
Right.
He was doing this. A coal?
Come on, bro. You know what? You're going to jail. Just for this, you going to jail. But it just goes to show you. That's a perfect example of bearing false witness. Stephen was just speaking. Yes, he was speaking, but they switched it. He was speaking blasphemy. No, he was speaking truth. that's what you bear false witness, right? Now, if you just didn't see the person, you get out your bed one day and just say, well, oh, they didn't post nothing to Instagram last night. I'm gonna just say they was somewhere.
Right.
Now that's beyond bearing false witness. Now you just lying, right? You just got lying lips, and we know that the Most High hate lying lips. So let's not be like that, Israel. If you ain't see it, don't speak on it. If you did see it, give the honest account of what happened. Let's go back to the portion. The book of Exodus, chapter 20. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife,
Mm-hmm.
nor his manservant,
Mm-hmm.
nor his maidservant,
Mm-hmm.
nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings. And the
So what does
noise.
it mean to covet? I'm actually getting the Hebrew word for it right now. What does it mean to covet?
To have a strong desire for it. Or to desire something that's not yours.
Exactly. To desire something that's not yours.
Right.
I imagine if I have a black T-shirt with a white logo on it, you have a black T-shirt, right? And you want my T-shirt instead of just getting one that's like it.
Right.
You're in the spirit of covetousness because you ought not to have. It's mine.
Right.
Why you desire what I have instead of getting your own that's like it?
Right.
And when you look at our people, a lot of our people is guilty of that.
Oh yeah.
They see you with your, when they see you with your woman, why don't you go find out she have a twin or something? Why do you want that? Why do you want that one?
Right.
Why do you want that one?
Right.
That's the spirit of covetousness.
Right.
The desire, you having a strong desire of something you ought not to have. And a lot of things that we see that go on earth is because there's a heavy spirit of covetousness. That's what's going on. But because of the time, we're just going to go ahead and continue.
Come. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 18.
Now, remember from when we first started Exodus chapter 20, who's speaking right now? Who's speaking now in Exodus chapter 20 right now? No.
The Most High.
The Most High is speaking right now.
Mm-hmm.
From verse 1 up until now, what we're about to read is the Most High speaking. Read.
And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking.
But what's that? What the people's hearing? Thundering, lightning, noise of trumpets. But this is the Most High speaking right now. Go ahead.
And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear.
And they said, Yo, Moses, you speak. Because the people was brought up to the mountain to hear whose words? The Most High's words. He's not going to be able to speak from the mountain and all the people are able to hear him. So when they're hearing the thundering and lightning, what the hell's going on?
Exactly.
They say, Yo, Moses, you speak to us, and we're going to get the word from you. Go ahead.
But let not God speak with us, lest we die.
So who was speaking?
Let not God speak with us, lest we die.
Because they didn't, thou shalt not murder, they heard the thundering, lightnings, and trumpets. That's what they heard. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was, and the Lord unto Moses said unto Moses, Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold.
Go ahead.
I think
that was it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the most round of applause. Also, speaking of our Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for giving us another Shabbat portion. A lot of wisdom, knowledge, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of understanding. I hope everybody was edified. I hope everybody take down these notes, go over it. You know, because I think this is the first portion we went over, and we showed like it's not the Most High was speaking like how we're speaking right now. It was actually thundering and lightning. That's what the people was hearing.
Right.
Until they needed Moses to speak to them. And I think this is where it begins to have the prophets right here. Because the average people, they couldn't hear the voice of Moses. Who they had to go through to hear the word? Right. The prophet, somebody who was able to interpret and understand the word of God.
Right.
So, is there any announcements?
Let's see. No, I don't see any announcements.
We have new one coming up.
We have no more coming up. Let me check the calendar.
Should be the 19th.
Yeah.
Next week,
Yeah. It's Sunday.
Yeah,
Next Sunday.
so
Yeah.
we got new moon coming up on February 19th at sundown. So that would be ushering in the 12th month of our Hebrew calendar. So that's February 19th at sundown. We have, of course, Nicanor coming up March 3rd, March 4th and 5th. We have Purim. And then, of course, we have our Passover April 2nd. So Passover will be held on April 2nd. So definitely just keep those dates in mind. Try to plan, around it. If you are joining us for Passover, the promotion videos are on all the channels.
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna be doing more soon.
Okay, cool. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can leave a comment on our YouTube or reach out to us via email.
Right.
We're gonna go ahead and put our email for our MDC branch in the chat. Babu Shakab, if you could go and do that, lozmdc12@gmail. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Anything pertaining to any feast days or any general questions that you may have. Just another way to contact us. Of course, we have our phone numbers there. And to our online family, to anybody watching. So we are trying to build a school up in our MDC branch. So we're asking if anyone is able to donate $7 to our Cash App. Our Cash App is BLOZMDC. Again, BLOZMDC. You'll also see it at the bottom of our live stream. Just try to get this school up and running. Miami is a very fruitful place. We have probably all 12 tribes down here. So we definitely want to be able to bring out this word effectively and give people a comfortable place to come and hear it. So with your help, we definitely know that we can accomplish it. So we ask if it's in your spirit to do so, to donate just $7 to our Cash App at BLOZMDC. Other than that, are there any questions, comments, or concerns in the room? Any questions or comments or concerns online? We give you a minute or so just to see if we get anything. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions, comments, concerns coming from the family from online. Once again, we always thank our online family for joining us for the Shabbat service. We're going to go ahead and close out. So I want to say Almanium, Wapania, Akudam, rise and face the east.
You gotta mute the phone. I think you gotta mute the phone.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 26 and verse 16. The covenant between Yahweh and the children of Israel. This day, Yahweh, thy power. Repeat.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, this day, Yahweh, thy power.
This day, Yahweh, thy power,
hath commanded thee.
has commanded thee
To do these statutes.
to do these statutes
And judgments.
and judgments.
Thou shalt therefore keep.
Thou shalt therefore keep
And do them.
and do them
With all thine heart.
with all thine heart
And with all thy soul.
and with all thy soul.
Thou hast avouched Yahweh this day.
Thou hast avouched Yahweh this day
To be thy God.
to be thy God,
And to walk in his ways.
and to walk in his ways,
And to keep his statutes.
and to keep his statutes
And his judgments.
and his judgments,
And to hearken unto his voice.
and to hearken unto his voice.
And Yahweh hath avouched thee this day.
And Yahweh has avouched thee this day
To be his peculiar people.
to be his peculiar people,
As he hath promised thee.
as he has promised thee,
And that thou shouldest keep.
that thou shouldest keep
all his commandments,
all his commandments,
and to make thee high
and to make thee high
above all nations,
above all nations,
which he hath made
which he hath made
in praise
in praise
and in name
and in name
and in honor,
and in honor,
and that thou mayest be an holy people
and that thou mayest be a holy people
unto Yahweh thy God,
unto Yahweh thy God,
as he hath spoken.
as he hath spoken.
Hashem,
Hashem,
Hamashiach,
Hamashiach,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
the water,
the water,
the Yad,
Yah,
Aman.
Aman.
Abanaw Yahweh, we come to the humble heart, mind, and soul. The water Yahweh for giving us this blessed Shabbat day, a day, Lord, that we are fed with the heritage of Jacob, our father, O Yahweh. A day, Lord, that we are reminded, Lord, of the law, statutes, and commandments of the covenant, O Yahweh, Lord, that we have agreed to keep with you, O Yahweh, Lord. We have avouched this day, Lord, that you be our God, O Yahweh, Lord. And you have avouched, Lord, to make us high in the earth, O Yahweh, above all nations, in name, in praise, and in honor, O Most High. We ask, Lord, that you continue to pour out your spirit in these last days, O Yahweh. We ask, Lord, that you give us the patience, Lord, as the patience that you have with us, O Yahweh, Lord. Because ever since we became a nation, O Yahweh, Lord, you have never forsaken us or left us, O Most High. I ask, Lord, that you continue, Lord, to build us up, Lord, in our captivities, O Most High. For we know, Lord, that the curses, Lord, that are upon us will be put upon our enemies, O Most High. For we know, Lord, that there is only one way for our captivity to be turned, and that is to keep your commandments. We just thank you, Lord, for life, health, and strength each and every day, O Yahweh. And we ask, Lord, that you continue to be with us. Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua, Tawat Yad, Aman. Leave Most High round of applause.